Hi, hello. We are back for another podcast. So I've got a lot of whips right now, actually, quite a few finished objects. So I'm really excited to kick off with the first podcast of 2025. So let's get into it. Okay, hello all. Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time watching me. I'm here today to go through a podcast of, everything I'm working on right now, everything I finished in the last month, anything I purchased. And yeah, I asked to talk about inspirations, so we'll talk about that and how I'm doing on my 2025 bingo card. So I think it's going to be a fun episode. I actually have a lot of whips, a lot of finished objects. I've clearly been stress knitting, so there's a lot in front of me. So we're going to get into it. I did firstly want to acknowledge that I did not post last week and I didn't say anything. Normally I try to make a community post if I'm not going to post. So sorry for not posting and not saying anything. I'm here now. Honestly, it's been a really hard few weeks. I have mentioned before that I work in global health, and the majority of my work is funded by foreign aid from the U.S. government, which under this new administration has been paused. So it's been really tough. Like 90% of our funding is gone for at least the next 90 days. If not, things might get canceled and we don't know. Basically, my job is kind of up in the air right now. It's really sad and scary for me. I don't know if I'm gonna be employed in the very near future. I really don't know. And so that's scary. Dealing with that, but I'm also really sad and scared for all the people I work with that rely on foreign aid and global health assistance around the world. A lot of the work we're doing is providing life-saving medications for HIV or tuberculosis and things like that, and people can't go 90 days without that stuff. So I'm really sad, and I'm really scared for a lot of different reasons. I don't want to talk about it that much here because this is kind of a space for me to disconnect from things that are stressing me out, and this has definitely taken up the majority of my life and been a huge source of stress, as you can probably imagine. So I don't want to film myself talking about it for too long because A, I might start crying, and B, it's already all around me. So if any of this strikes a chord with you, if you want to learn more about it, I am advocating privately and happy to talk to people more. Shoot me an Instagram DM. My Instagram is always linked below, and I'm happy to talk about this more because it is having a profound impact on the lives of millions of people around the world and the jobs and employment of probably hundreds of thousands, if not high thousands of Americans. So yeah, happy to talk about it more, but I hope you can understand if I'm a little low energy, a little bit stressed today. And I want to be here. I want to try to post. You might see more of me if I have more free time, or you might see less of me if I just am not feeling it. So yeah, I really appreciate your grace through this time. So I want to say thank you for helping. Thank you for watching, first of all. If any of the strikes scored, feel free to reach out to me. But also, if you do want to do some help, it's always great to write to your representatives to advocate for foreign aid and the importance of it. If you're, in the United States, writing to your state representatives, the best thing to do, or congressional representatives, if you're abroad. I still think it's incredibly important to advocate for foreign aid and global health abroad right now because we don't want to see funding cuts elsewhere as well. So it's great to write to your representatives supporting these organizations that are doing this work and now have huge gaps in their budgets. Donating to them or just sharing about them is incredibly valuable as well. And then sharing articles, sharing that this is happening as well is just really valuable because I don't think a lot of people know what's happening because it's, not impacting the majority of people. So I recommend sharing about it. I don't I'm scared about censorship on YouTube or anything going back to my employer or who, is on board with this, but it's a scary time right now. So I don't really want to put anything like in the description that's going to flag this video or anything. So if you want to share, I have news articles, but I'm not going to link them because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just a little nervous, so I don't want to talk about it that much and all that. But you are more than welcome to reach out to me on Instagram, and I can send you articles. I can talk about it more. It is really important to me, and it's a lot's happening, and I'm trying to do a lot, but it's also impacting me a lot, so it's hard. I'm kind of in the middle of that, so I hope you all understand that. But there are actions you can take. If you have questions about any of them, want to have next steps, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to help guide you through something like that or talk about it more. And you're already watching me, which is more than enough support, but I did want to add, I know that there's people that regularly watch these videos, regularly comment, and I feel like I've built a sort of relationship with. And I just want to say to you all, I'm probably, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, but I expect that my income might change, and I am nervous about that. I'm more nervous about everything else. I am going to be okay. I at least live in a state that has good unemployment insurance or unemployment benefits, and I will be okay, but I'm a little stressed financially right now, and just, if it's not your problem, I know so many of you probably are too, and I fully respect that. But if you want to help me, first of all, watching my videos does really help me, so thank you. Giving your attention to me during this time when so many things are happening, there's so many people to watch. I appreciate you being here. But if you want to help support me, subscribing to my video or to my channel, sharing my videos, commenting, liking things does really help the algorithm to pick up my videos more, and help more people watch, which helps me get paid a little more. I am a YouTube partner and make a little bit every month. I mean, I can't live off it, but it's something. So that is incredibly helpful if you share and subscribe and, click all the little algorithm buttons. Appreciate it. And then I do have patterns. I have one pattern out. It's called the Mountains and Sea Sweater. My Ravelry is linked below where you can find it. If you share that pattern or purchase it, it does help me. And I have more patterns coming that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm selling myself. I don't want to talk about it too much. I know that I'm not the only one struggling right now. It's a really tough time for a lot of people and for a lot of different reasons. So I just appreciate you being here, but I did want to put that out there as well. So anyways, let's get into why you're here, which is a knitting podcast. So I have 3 finished objects, 3 whips, which is so unlike me. I normally knit monogamously, and just a few other things. So let's get into it. Let's try to disconnect from the world for a little bit and feel happy together, talk about something that we're all passionate about. So, all right, my finished objects. Going in order of finished. So the first thing I finished, which at this point I finished a while ago and actually was like my last finished object of 2024, but this is the Nora neck. This is kind of a dicky situation, a dicky, a neck, whatever you call them, from the designers We Made Wardrobe. I believe it's 2 people that designed together, and I don't want to mess with the microphone, so I'm not gonna put it on. I'm just holding it up for y'all. But it's got this nice cowl turtleneck and then some nice shaping along the side with this pretty ribbing, and it just sits on your chest to keep it warm while you have maybe a jacket or an overcoat on. And yeah, it's super fun. The colors are, of course, the star of the show, this yarn. This is from Junk Yarn. It's their new Nostalgia DK base. It's a boucle, and it's in the colorway Fashionista Barbie. And I made this specifically for the knit along that Ash from Smash Knits and I are hosting. It's actually over on February 17th. So we're getting close to the end. If you do still want to participate, you can probably get, you know, a pair of socks or finish a whip in that time. But it's a knit along all about expanding our color comfort zone. So this was the first thing I made under it with all these bright neons, because I almost exclusively knit in more muted colors. So it was really fun to engage in that. And the texture's really fun. And yeah, it's a great winter accessory to wear on a cold day. Helps protect my neck, and I don't have to worry as much about like, does my jacket have a hood or how does it close, because I've got an extra piece here, but it's not as bulky as a scarf. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm really enjoying hosting that Cal too. I'm going to be sad when it ends because it's a really nice community. So that's the first one, Nora neck. My next finished object is this sweater, which was a whip in my last podcast. This is the Stripe Hype by Kutuvakika, also on Ravelry known as Veronica Lindbergh. That's her name. And this is a really fun striped sweater, obviously, where I've used 5 different colors in addition to the main color. I didn't modify this at all, I think, or I slightly shortened it, but otherwise no modifications. But yeah, I did slightly shorten it, but otherwise knit it exactly to pattern in a size medium. I used Drops Daisy as my main color in the colorway Marzipan. And then contrast color 1 is Knitting for Olive Merino held double in the colorway Copper. And then this color is Knitting for Olive Merino in Dusty Aqua, also held double. And it's contrast color 2 if you're reading the pattern. Contrast color 3 down here is from Salty Blonde Fine Fibers. It's one of her DK Halfsies, so it's 50 grams of a DK superwash yarn. And it's in the colorway Oak. And then this is one of my favorite details is the neckline. The sleeves, I use this contrast color 4. I used some Salty Blonde Fine Fibers in her Prairie base, which is a Shiniko wool, non-superwash, in a colorway that I cannot for the life of me remember. I write it down every time, so it's always in the description, but it's a beautiful honey yellow, and I should know the name of it, but it's one of those things that just won't stick in my brain for some reason, because I just want to call it, I actually want to call it miel, which is honey in Spanish. It's not that, so it'll be in the description. But beautiful, beautiful base, feels so soft, and I love the color. And then finally, Knitting for Olive, this is contrast color 5, Knitting for Olive Merino in Dusty Artichoke. And then, of course, there's a cute little contrast color 1 features on the sleeves, and contrast color 5 features on the neckline. And yeah, this is a lovely piece. I thought about wearing it in this video, but I honestly needed a comfort sweatshirt on right now. So I'm wearing my cozy Alaska sweatshirt instead, but I do really love this piece. It's very comfortable. It feels great against my skin. I love the fit of it. I was kind of worried about it because it tapers in at the bottom, but it's not that severe. So you can kind of see like it definitely goes in, but it doesn't then hug my hips or anything. So that's nice. Sleeves, same, kind of go in and then decrease pretty quickly, or just cinch in pretty quickly at the cuff, but fits really comfortably. It definitely fits kind of like a sweatshirt. So pretty similar to the way this guy fits, where it tapers in a little bit, the sleeves are cuffed. It's kind of how this fits. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I worked on it over Christmas and it took me just over a week. So pretty quick sweater as well, with the kind of potato chippy stripes. So okay, there we go on that one. And then my final finished object is buried. Is this hat that I made. And so this was there's an end poking out, how embarrassing. But this is a self-design. I've actually already posted it on Instagram, but without the patch. But this is a hat that I designed and knit up, and am planning to make a second sample and then do a test call. So you will see this soon, hopefully. I just need to get started on the second sample and write up some stuff, but I will have a test call for this soon. I'm tentatively calling it the scone hat. That could change, but I just think it kind of like the decreases, I don't know, it's like these long rectangles that then go up. I don't know. It reminds me of scone. And this sample, this yarn is from my trip to Alaska this summer, where at Fabulous Fiber Arts I picked up this yarn, which is called Blueberries in June. from the yarn dyer Round Mountain Fibers, and it's so beautiful. I love the colorway. And then I'm for the brim here, which is double knit, so it's a double thick because it's double knitting. Duh. I used the KnitPicks Swish base in the colorway Haze Heather, and I think that they look beautiful together. And then I decided that the hat on its own is pretty simple, so I wanted to add something to it, and so I designed this little embroidery. I used to embroider a lot, if you didn't know. Most of the art behind me was made by me. All of these are past embroidery or cross stitch projects, so it's kind of fun to go back to that roots and design this little blueberry patch to sew on. So I am planning on including some instructions for making this blueberry patch, and then my second sample, I already have the yarn picked out and with me. It's a nice orange color from Poppy and Spruce Fibers, so I'm planning on kind of making a pumpkin scone hat, and I'll make a little pumpkin. So there will be instructions for those two patches, and then instructions for, if you want something else, I'll link some resources for other places to check for embroidery designs. So I think it'll be fun. I think like it is a simple hat, and here's what it looks like. I still have an emergency end in case I'm like, oh, I need to take everything apart. But here's what it looks like, when the patch is on the back. It's a simple, well-fitting hat, not too long. It doesn't poke up very much at all, really. And it just decreases to 1 point. And here's what it looks like with the patch. Oh my gosh, I want to center that, but yeah, it's just fun. I don't know. I think it's cute. It keeps my ears warm with the double knit, and I think that this takes less than 100 grams of yarn, at least for the small size. I have a pinhead, so I can't guarantee that it would take less than 100 grams for everyone, but for my little tiny head, it does not take very much yarn. And I need to actually weigh it because I haven't done that yet. I knit the hat, and then, I don't know, existential dread set in, and I didn't feel like doing any admin to weigh this or write up the pattern yet. So I need to weigh it, but based on looking at the yarn I have left, I think it took less than 100 grams between these two. So it should be pretty yarn friendly, and it was fun to knit up. And I think it's a cool hat. So I recommend you make it or test knit it if you want. So I'll make a community post when I am ready to have a call for testers, in addition to try to line it up with a video that comes out. So you'll probably see that. The easiest way to probably find out about test calls, though, is to follow me on Instagram. So it's always linked below. You're welcome to go there and see more. But yeah, I'm really proud of this guy. I think that it's fun. And at first I was like, I don't know if it's different enough to release. Like, it's just a ribbed hat, but I still think that's fun. I mean, people like to knit basics, and hopefully with the addition of some stuff about embroidery, adding your own patch, should be fun. So yeah, there we go. So those are all my finished objects. Moving on to whips. Again, I have 3, which is really unlike me. Normally I stick to maybe 1 or 2 max, but one's kind of a longer term whip, and it's been a stressful few weeks, so I cast on some extra stuff. So this is a half finished object. I do have 1 sock done, but here's my other sock. I am making the Colorwork Cuff Club socks by Summer Lee in the November Colorwork chart. So this is what it looks like completed. And I'm using a lot of random 20 gram or scrap sock yarn bits. So I don't have names for the majority. A lot of them I bought at My Sister Knits, which is a yarn store in Fort Collins, and they did not come with labels at all. So I don't even know the fiber content. I'm just hoping they're sock yarn. But yeah, so I don't know what this one is. This pink one is from Emma's Yarns. That's one of the few I have a label for, which I'm trying to find in my little bag, which apparently I disposed of. No. So this pink one is called Shut the Front Door. It's by Emma's Yarns. Here's the tiny label. Emma's Yarns, Shut the Front Door. So yeah, that's what the pink one is. This purple shade is from two sisters in the color Blush. So this purple color is that. And then all the others are unlabeled. Some of them I'd had scraps from something else. So this Periwinkle is from Apothecary Fiber Co. Don't know the color name. Don't remember it at least. It had one at some point, but I lost the label months ago, if it even had a label. I don't think it did. And then this beige color is called Dust Bunny. I just know that because I knit a whole sweater out of it. But yeah, it's called Dust Bunny from Apothecary Fiber Co. So yeah, that's what the completed sock looks like. And I'm, in the midst of my second sock. And this is another whip for the Opposites Attract knit along. So I'm working on it, as I go. Just mostly getting some rows in on this middle of conference calls, or just if I need a break from some of my more complex projects. So I've been enjoying taking my time on socks. It's been a whip at this point for 2 to 3 weeks, and normally I'd be stressed by that, of like I like to just keep things moving, but I'm enjoying taking it slow. So I'm glad I have this first sock done, and I'll get the second one done sooner or later. The color work is pretty fun. So actually this sock I'd knit the color work and the heel and the gusset, and then just had foot to go, and I left it for a very long time, like a long time, just sitting with the foot. You may also notice, I feel like you can really see it on camera, this part's kind of stripy. And that is because I actually was doing helical knitting with 2 different colors of yarn. So in my sister knits, I bought 2 skeins. This one's attached. These 2 skeins, which from a distance and when they were in skeins, looked like the same color. Up close, this one's definitely lighter than this one. So instead of just having 2 socks that are different colors, I decided to just helically knit with them to kind of try to stripe and blend them together. And it's definitely a little stripy, but it's tolerable. I mean, they're close enough of a shade, and I think that this can kind of pass for like a tonal variation rather than like true stripes of different colors. So I'm living with it. And yeah, it's fun. It's a fun project. It's just a pair of socks, it's light, it's easy. Color work chart takes like half an hour to do. So it's not too much color work, and then it's just a sock. So yeah, enjoying that. And then my next whip, where do I want to start? Let's do this one. I think that this is the next in order of starting and casting on. This is definitely my main whip right now, and it's another design project, so there's a lot of strings going on here. This is a new design from me. So I am using my Zakami Yarns Advent. I actually made a whole video about planning for this sweater, trying to pick my contrast color, trying to kind of design what I wanted, and it's coming together. So I'm working on it. So this is using the Zakami Organic Merino DK base, and I got the Zakami Yarns December or Christmas Advent for 2024, which the theme was belonging, and it's kind of slowly fading into, right now we're kind of in tans and browns, but it'll go through blues and then end in kind of like terracotta, reddish, orange shades. So it's really fun to have the fade, and I'm doing color work obviously with these beautiful flowers. These are from the book Alternate Dictionary. Sorry, I'm trying to poke my head. From the Alternate Dictionary, this motif is from there. It's a great resource book. It's from Andrea Rangel, and yeah, it has so many wonderful patterns in it for different color work. And you're able to, I've read all the disclaimers, you're able to use those motifs to write your own patterns with. So all credit to her for this beautiful motif. But yeah, I'm turning it into this whole sweater and really happy with how it's turning out with the slow fade. I think the color work is beautiful. It's also pretty easy chart to remember and memorize, and there's only one row in the repeat that needs floats. So it's not too complex as far as color work goes either. And then, you know, I like the contrast raglans, and I'm happy with this neckline. I kind of made like a pseudo funnel neck, turtleneck, but it has a nice little roll at the top. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm 7 rows away from splitting for sleeves. So I'm really, at this point, I have a lot of stitches on my needle, and I'm really excited to try it on fully for the first time, because, you know, for now it's just like, I can put it on, but doesn't have sleeve holes, so I don't know how it's really gonna fit. So I hope it works out. But this has been so much math. Like, I had to do so much math to figure out, you know, where should all these motifs start, to make sure that they're centered and that when I do split for sleeves, they connect. How can I do the increases and make sure everything lines up and that there's enough stitches to connect and have a seamless color work pattern once I'm working in the round on the sleeves and on the body. I have to figure out as well with the fade of, you know, in the raglan, it's fine to just use the 20 gram skeins I get, but once I get to the sleeves and the body, I want it to consistently fade. So I had to calculate, like, okay, how many stitches are there in total, and what percent of those stitches are on the body versus what percent are on the sleeves, and then turn that into the yarn to say, okay, with my 20 gram skeins, I need to use 40% for the body and whatever. So lots of math involved, basically. So it's been kind of a fun challenge right now. I finished a big project at work, and then the next day I was like, okay, I'm casting this on because I just want to feel engulfed by a knitting project, and I'm loving it. It's really engaging. It's really exciting to see it fade and come to life. I love the way that the design looks. So yeah, this is definitely like giving me a lot of joy right now, which is very much needed. Oh, and I added in some short rows. So that was a fun new math challenge to figure out how to do my short rows. I still think I could have maybe done them a little bit more, but maybe I'll revisit them if needed after I see how it's fitting with sleeves. So yeah, lots of fun stuff on this one. And I'm loving how it's working up. I think it's beautiful. And yeah, it's very much needed source of distraction and peace. So yeah, I am writing the pattern as I work on it. So I will release this for a test knit and then release it as a design for purchase, unless things go horribly wrong with test knitting or in my design process. But I'd love some ideas for names. So let me know if anything immediately comes to you for a name. Usually I have like something in the back of my head, but I don't with this one. I have no idea what I should name it. So let me know if anything comes up for you. I'd love to know. So yeah, kind of continuing to think that through. I think these kind of look like little tiles, but I don't know. And obviously they're flowers, but I don't know. So let me know what you all think. But yeah, I'm enjoying this one. It's really fun. Oh, and I did not say what the contrast color is. I'm using this yarn for my contrast color, which is Woolstok Worsted by Blue Sky Fibers, and it's in the colorway Midnight Sea. So it's this beautiful colorway. I actually went to my favorite yarn store, Lula Faye Fibers in Boulder, with 2 of my friends who, one knits, one doesn't, but I went with them to pick out what contrast color I should use. So I brought a tote bag with all of my advent with me and was just like whipping it out in the store, which felt very awkward. But one of the people who works there, who I've met before and is lovely, she actually helped me pick out the contrast color. So all thanks to Lula Faye Fibers as well for helping me bring this to life as well. So yeah, of course I bought the yarn, but they did help me. So pick out which yarn. So really appreciate them. They're always lovely. So there's that whip, and then my final whip is going to be a long-term whip. I probably will only talk about it when I add to it going forward, but it is in this fun bag, and it is the Triangle Blanket by Ellie Jones, which if you watched me before, watched my knitting plans videos, I've been wanting to cast this on for a really, really long time. I think at least 3 seasons of knitting plans included it. So we're finally here. We finally have a start. So yeah, this is a really fun blanket pattern where you just are making all of these little triangles, connecting them as you go, and you make a big blanket. So I decided there's two ways you can construct it. You can construct the triangles to make lines. So you just, go line, line, line of triangles to just connect them next to each other and then on top of each other. And yeah. Or you can make hexagons. So I'm making the hexagons so I can kind of make these little hexagon patterns that kind of will look like quilt motifs, and I'll connect them all and it'll kind of look like a quilt. And I'm using a bunch of yarn colors from the past of different socks I've made and stuff. So this color here is from the Yarn Addict, who's now Little Fiber Co. The colorway is Speckled Sheep. And I have a pair of socks in this that I love, and I love this yarn. So I enjoyed working that up. I'm holding it double. There's a DK weight version and a fingering weight version in this pattern. I'm doing the DK weight version. And then my main color is from KnitPicks. It is, I'm getting the label, the Hawthorne DK weight yarn, and I just got it in Bare, which comes like this, which feels very insecure. Or not insecure, but it's a superwash Highland wool and a polyamide mix. So it is superwash and polyamide. Most of the yarns I'm using in here are superwash, so it should be easier to care for. And yeah, it's a very tiny start, but I made a few triangles in the past few weeks, and yeah, enjoying that. So those are all of my whips. And for acquisitions, I didn't actually buy anything this month related to knitting or yarn, which is kind of a first. But I did talk in my last video about yarn advent. So I'd gotten 2 yarn advents this year. One was the Zakami yarn advent that is going into here. And then I'd gotten a 11 50-gram skein yarn advent from Pigment and Ply, which I've been really wanting to try Pigment and Ply for a long time. And so in my last podcast, I'd opened some of the shades, but not all of them, because I'd chosen to open it actually after Christmas for the 12 days of Christmas. So I opened it all, finished on actually January 5th. So it was kind of the 11 days of Christmas. But yeah, I have 11 skeins of yarn. Oh my gosh. So this is what the final advent looked like. I'll just slowly show each shade. They all have a pair, but I don't have the little booklet in front of me, so I'm just showing you. This is called Medusa's Gaze. It's beautiful. This one's called Pandora's Folly. Very beautiful. They're all very moody. The theme of this advent was not a villain, not a damsel. So they're all women that have kind of been maligned in stories or history to either be very villainous or damsels. And I like the theme. It was very empowering. So this one's called Serpent's Venom. It's nice, bright green tonal. Glimmer Gloom, and this beautiful mauve color. Nettle and Nightshade, nice purple. Cassandra's Curse, very beautiful. The Widdershins Away, beautiful gray. The Sleepwalker's Witch. This is one of my favorite colors. It's kind of this shade. Yeah, Sleepwalker's Witch, as I said. Mirage of Morgan Le Fay, and this is my favorite from the Advent, and I'm pretty sure that these two were meant to go together. And then the Swan Maidens, very pretty. And then there was one 100-gram skein, which is called Not a Villain, Not a Damsel. So yeah, this was a really fun Advent to open, and I really enjoyed it. I want to make socks with it, but I'd mentioned before that I actually messed up when purchasing this back in April 2024 and got a 100% non-superwash wool yarn when I should have gotten something with nylon in it. So this is just 100% superwash merino, which you can make socks out of. I mean, it's still superwash, but they are just not reinforced, so they may not last as long. So I bought some nylon thread that I thought might work, but it's too tense. It's basically fishing line, so it's not gonna stretch with the yarn, so it's gonna be weird. I'll mostly use a lot of these in color work, but I think, or use different shades in the heels and toes to provide some support there. Or there are some stretchy nylon threads you can get from yarn stores, like Lang Yarns. Their superwash, their sock yarn actually comes with some reinforced yarn or nylon thread in the same color. So I'll be on the lookout for that. I think one of my local yarn stores, Finger Play, actually sells that. So I might get that, or I might just accept, they're going to deteriorate a little bit quicker, and that's okay. Things are meant to deteriorate. We have this idea that things should last longer, but natural materials, wear away, and I get to make more socks. So I'll probably just accept that and make them, and just accept they might not wear as long, but I'll still love them, and I can also mend them. Maybe this will be the push to learn more about mending as well. So there we go. That was a really fun yarn advent to be opening. And yeah, I'm excited to get to work with it once I have a little bit more sock mojo. So that was my only acquisition. I have 2 inspirations for this month. The first one is, let me move to the side, this shawl, which brought me into the world of shadow or illusion knitting, which is where you're knitting with 2 colors and you're doing stranded color work with them, but you are like raising them or slipping them in different ways so that when you look at it from the side, it shows a pattern, which I think is so cool. I did not know shadow or illusion knitting was a thing before this popped up on my Instagram, and it's incredible. I really want to try something in shadow knitting now, and this guy who's holding up this shawl, he's the designer of the shawl. You can purchase pattern to make this exact shawl, but there's tons of illusion knitting patterns on Ravelry if you just search for them. So super cool. And then also I saw this hat when I was actually scrolling Ravelry. It's the Curiosity hat by Tori Yu, which just came out, and I don't know, I'm really enthralled by it. I know I just showed a hat that I was working on, but the texture of this one's really cool, and I love the fact that you can wear it 2 ways, where all of the texture is showing, or you can have just a stockinette hat with this textured brim. I think both look really cool, and it's just a really cool pattern and a nice way to use up some yarn. It is a sport weight pattern, and yeah, it's just cool. It's 2 color broken seed stitch, and then you use stockinette on the inside, or the outside if you want it to be. But yeah, super cool pattern. So those are my 2 inspirations for this month. Pretty simple. They're fun. I think that they're both really cool things. And then finally, in the past, I've talked about my knitting intentions every month and how I'm doing on those, but I switched now to using a bingo card for 2025. And so here's my bingo card. I checked off nothing this month, which is fine. I have a lot of larger goals that I've kind of started, so we won't go through everything here, but I just first want to point out the make a blanket square. I started a blanket. I started my triangulum blanket, so I am on track for that one, which is awesome. And then I have a square for finishing all of my seasonal knitting plans, and I am 2 plans away from finishing my seasonal knitting plans for winter. I don't need them to be, I'm kind of letting myself say they can still be whips at the end of winter, but they all need to be started, because this triangulum blanket is going to be on my needles for probably a year, and that's fine. I'm just happy to have it started and be working on it. So 5 out of 7 of the things I have on my knitting plans list are here. So, this is pretty good representation of, I have 3 finished objects from that knitting plans list, 2 whips, and then I have 2 other things, which are both sweaters. One's a design sweater that I have all the yarn for, and the other is a sweater that I'm waiting on pre-ordered yarn to ship for. So depending on when the pre-ordered yarn comes in, I can probably have everything at least as a whip by the end of February or like mid-March, when I really will switch to spring knitting. So I'm excited about that, because, for a long time I feel like I haven't been able to stick to my knitting plans and make these things that I really am excited to, but I haven't sample knit this month so far, or this year so far, so it's given me a lot more free time. And I actually haven't sample knit since early December, so I've had a lot more time to work on the things that I want to work on, which has been very freeing, very motivating, and much enjoyed. So yeah, that's that. And then sometimes I give a recommendation at the end of a video for things that I've been watching or reading or listening to while knitting. And I've been sitting in silence a lot or watching a lot of comfort shows. Just there's so much happening. My attention span is short. That's how it is. I have been watching Abbott Elementary, which has been really fun. It's a good show. I enjoy it a lot. It's about an elementary school, an underfunded elementary school in Philadelphia, but it's a comedy, so it's really enjoyable. And I also actually have been playing a lot of Stardew Valley, which is a video game. You're a farmer on an island, and you grow your crops. And I have chickens now and cows, and you get to get your eggs. And I have mayonnaise machines to make mayonnaise, and there's mines that you're getting natural resources from, and there's monsters that live in the mines that you can fight, and you can make friends with all the villagers. There's like 20 villagers that you can make friends with and eventually marry. So it's really fun. I started playing it mid-December and kind of gotten into it a lot lately because it's not super high intensity. You're just playing alone. It's not a multiplayer. So you can pause it at any time and walk away, and it's totally fine. There's very little conflict or combat in it. Like there is some fighting monsters, but it's just like click, 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 and they die, and you have weapons and stuff. So it's mostly farming and living on this little village, and making friends and foraging for like mushrooms and stuff. So it's really light, but it's really engrossing. So I've really been enjoying that. It's taken away some time from knitting, actually. So I'm still very impressed that I have as many whips and finished objects as I do, while kind of knitting a little bit less as I've been playing this video game. But because I'm just really, when I am knitting, I'm locked in. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I feel like I'm a little low energy, so I appreciate you watching anyways. Or I shouldn't say that. I just appreciate you being here. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you're having a great time or just surviving and being okay. Yeah, I'm sending everyone a virtual hug. I think a lot of us could use it. And happy knitting. I will hopefully see you again next week, but I hope you don't hold it against me if I don't come back next week. I don't know what's gonna happen in the next few days, so I will see you soon though. I definitely want to continue to connect here. This is such a great space. There's so many wonderful people here, so thank you so much for watching and being here, and hope you're all doing well. Happy knitting, happy everything, and I'll talk again soon. Okay, bye!